Hey all, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at Baldur's Gate 3. Larian Studios, the developers behind the game, have just released the final update for it. I wanted to do a quick run through to see what it's like starting out with a new character in 2025 with the latest update. Baldur's Gate released a few years ago now and really needs no introduction. Larian Studios did an amazing job on the game and it won a ton of awards. But for those who don't know, Baldur's Gate 3 is a story-rich RPG game based on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition rule set. Let's quickly chat about the key points of the final update. They've added crossplay, so now PS5, Xbox and PC can all play together, which is pretty cool. By all accounts, I've not tried it myself, but it works really well. They've also added photo mode. If you like taking photos of your games and producing great screenshots, then you've got the system to do it now. The key one for me is the new subclasses. Each class in the game has received an additional subclass, which is pretty cool. So basically just new content to the game. The patch adds a shit ton of other stuff as well, but, you know, I'd probably spend an hour just talking about all the additions they've done to the game, fixes, and so on. But enough talking, let's just jump into the game. So here we'll see your basic difficulty level that you can choose. There's quite a good few options here as default. But there's also a custom one. If you're not happy with how it's set up, you can completely customize it. Some people say it's a bit too easy, but I don't know. You know, you've got lots of options there. I'm sure you can find something that suits your needs. Obviously, this is a story-based game, so there's lots of kind of videos and introductions and stuff like that that I'll completely skip out of this and try and give no spoilers to the story. You can choose one of the pre-built characters. These are characters that you'll actually find in-game, and they can be your companions while you play through it. But, you know, I like to make a custom character, and I always like to play a dwarf in these types of games. And there isn't a dwarf character to choose from, so I'll make a custom character here. We'll just quickly do it. There's quite a decent selection for your character's appearance. Come on, Larian. Dwarves need more beard options than this. I think that's my only complaint about the game. Anyway, we'll quickly skip past this. I don't want to spend too much time on character creation. I'll let you guys do that when you play. Obviously, there's other races to choose from if you don't want a bearded dwarf, but that would just be silly. Each race will have its own subclass. Now, the subclasses will give different bonuses. They're only a slight bonus, but they'll affect how you play the game. And also, depending on what race you choose and what sub-race you choose, the NPCs you interact with in-game can change how they react to you. So here we get to choose our class. Now, if you've played RPG games before, or Dungeons & Dragons before, these are kind of classic classes that you can go as. But each class will have its own subclass as well, as you can see here. Now, some classes can have a subclass from the start. Others you have to level up a bit before you can actually select the subclass. I think I'll probably go Paladin here. I've never played a Paladin before, so I don't know what the gameplay is like with it. And I don't think there's a Paladin character in the game either that you can recruit. Each of the subclasses brings something different to the game. Different skills, different ways the character class will play. With the Paladin, I think you've actually got to follow a certain path. And if you don't follow that path, I think bad things can happen. Basically, I think they're called oaths, yeah, as you can see here. And then we get to choose a background. All the backgrounds do is they give you a few additional skills. Like this one gives you a bonus in athletics and survival. These all help towards when you're doing dice rolls in the game, depending on what you're doing. So, like if you were doing an athletics roll, you get a bit of a bonus because of that. We'll have a quick look at the stats here. You can customize this if you want. You have a certain amount of points you can spend. I'm just going to leave it as default for now. You can also change the skill proficiencies there if you wanted to customize that instead of following the kind of standard what you get with your selection. And then we'll just proceed from here. You get just name your character, of course. And then the next part is you get to choose a guardian. Now this is part of the main story, so I won't go into it too much, but you can basically customize this character as much as you want. They don't actually physically play in the game with you, they're just part of the story as they go along. But yeah, let's just jump into the game. So here we are in the game world. It's a fully 3D environment, but you do control a character using point and click, basically. Now, one thing I would say, this game is all about exploration, so make sure you explore your environments, because there can be lots of secrets hidden away. And the game provides you with different mechanics that you can use to actually get to different places. And obviously you can just walk up slopes like this, to get to this chest. A lot of people wouldn't even have thought to come up here. So it's definitely worth exploring. Then you can use the game mechanics and skills you get as a character to actually explore the verticality of these maps. And also you get here to see the environmental effects. So like there's a fire on the ground there, I walk over it and I catch fire. So, you know, you can actually use that to your advantage in combat as well, but we'll see that maybe a bit later. And then jumping down here actually causes me damage, and I actually have a chance of falling prone as well. Luckily the starting area has these healing spots, but usually you'd have to use a potion or a spell to heal yourself. I'll quickly show what it's like interacting with things in the game.
Thing came from the parasite now writhing behind your eye.
So here you get to choose different ways to interact with it. It could be talking to someone, it could be an object you interact with. Certain things allow you to actually use a skill to, you know, get more knowledge about an item, which I try here. If I pass this, I'll kind of understand a bit more about what this object is in front of me, but I completely fail.
You notice nothing more than meets the eye.
And because I didn't have the knowledge of what that was, I touched it and it blew up. But yeah, the game is obviously based on Dungeons and Dragons, so everything is kind of based on dice rolls. Sometimes you see them, sometimes you won't. We'll have a quick look at the inventory and the other systems here. Obviously this is standard kind of inventory system. You get places for your helmet, cloak, armor, boots, necklace, rings, and your weapons. And on the left hand side here you get obviously your character stats. And also features, which are kind of like bonuses your character gets as well. And then you can just go in, you see a bit of extra detail about your different roles that you can get and the bonuses your character has depending on their main stats. Like my intelligence one, you know, you get -1 on all the intelligence rolls. And then here's a bit more detail about your character stats, movement speeds and so on, and saving bonus throws at the bottom. If we go up to the top center here, you get your spell book. Now the Paladin does have some spells you can choose here. You can drag and drop them down to the bottom. And then you get your common skills. Again, you can drag these down to the bottom as well. Now the weapon animate actions depend on what weapon you've got equipped. But yeah, everyone gets the common actions and they can be dragged to the bottom and used when you need to use them. The last one here, reactions. This is just for combat. When an NPC or an enemy moves out of your combat range, you'll automatically attack. And then you have the potion crafting. You pick up plants and stuff off the ground and you can make potions, like healing potions. Becomes important later on in the game. Here I'll show us meeting our first companion. I won't play through all the cutscene, but I just want to show kind of what happens.
This is your end.
You'll meet companions like this throughout the game. They'll join your party and you can take with you into the missions. This one's a warrior and just happens that we just started a fight, so we can have a look what the combat is like in the game. Combat in Baldur's Gate 3 is turn-based. some people were kind of disappointed with that because the original games were all kind of real-time combat that you could pause. But I think Larian, they're good at turn-based and they've stuck with it in this. Now, you can swap your weapons if you've got different ones equipped. On the left-hand side at the bottom, you can see she's got a sword and a bow, so she could have changed her range if she wanted to. You can use all the kind of standard skills like jump and push and so on. And then you got your main attack skills that you can use with the character. They'll have a default set depending on the weapon. And then they'll also have their own kind of skills depending on what class they are. And also when you kill NPCs, you can loot them and take their items as well. And obviously use those items for yourself if you wanted to. My character is a paladin. They're kind of a support melee class. So they're good in melee, and they also have some nice kind of buffs and heals that they can use as well if needed. So I think the turns are basically based on initiative. So if your guys have a higher initiative than the AI, they'll go first. If the AI have a better initiative, then they'll get to go first. But you each take a turn until the combat's over, basically. Jumped ahead here where I've got an extra companion. I just wanted to show a bit more of the combat.
Connect the nerves of the transponder. We must escape. Now.
Do it. We will deal with the gate after we escape.
So the new companion I got here is Shadowheart. She's a cleric. She has a spell called Command. Now she won't have it as default. You actually have to go in and change it over. But what Command does is it allows you to kind of command another character to do something. So this is kind of a little tip, I guess, to start with, but it just shows off the different mechanics that you can use in this game to get an advantage. I'm telling him to basically drop his sword. Sadly, I failed there. But if I'd succeeded, he would have dropped his sword and he wouldn't have that sword anymore. And I could actually rush one of my characters in and pick that sword up and keep it.
Sometimes the only way out
So yeah,
is through.
the game has little things like that all the way through it. And it's pretty cool. It just adds so much to the depth of the combat and the game itself, really.
I will ascend.
So after the introduction area, you get to the main world. And I just wanted to go over a few other things before we end the video, really. So we'll have a look here. The world looks really nice. I love the graphics in this game and the style of the game. Let's have a look at the quest journal. Here you get to track your quests, as you would imagine. Complete the quest show here, as well as the main quests and side quests once you get some. You got the inspiration. It's just basically your kind of reputation with the characters you're in. And inspirations give you kind of bonuses to ability checks as well, which is quite nice. But that'll come later in the game as well. You can go through previous dialogue you've had with other characters and some tutorials here. And then you have the map screen, which obviously we haven't got much here, but this will be the overview of the area. And the main thing about the maps is that you do get waypoints that allow fast travel into different points. So you kind of got to unlock those as you explore around the world. And it allows you to fast travel between them. I just wanted to quickly show here as well another example of one of the dice rolls in the game. Now I got Shadowheart with me. She has a skill called Guidance. Well, it's a spell it is. That you can add as a bonus to dice rolls. Now it's not just, guidance isn't the only thing that does this, but there's other spells in the game that'll help with different dice rolls depending on what you're doing. Chatting to a character, trying to unlock a door like this. So I needed 20. My dexterity was enough to put it to 20, but I got an extra 3 from her as well, and it put me over, and I could unlock that door. The last thing I wanted to check in game was the level up system. Now every time you level up, you'll get new features, so actions and spells if you're a caster. Now actions are just like combat attacks, and obviously spells are different spells. Yeah. Depending on what kind of class you are. You might not have any spells if you're not a spellcaster. But you also get to unlock different fighting styles with fighters, and sometimes subclasses depending on what level you hit. So here you get to choose what kind of fighter you are, and you'll get a bonus with different things. Like obviously defense, I think you get a bonus with shield. Great weapon, you get a bonus with double-handed weapons. So that's why I'm going to just go with this guy, because I want a big weapons and hit hard with them. And all your characters will usually level up at the same time. Sometimes they're a bit behind, just depends. And they'll each get their own additional skills and spells. Now the cleric doesn't get much at this level. Casters tend to get big chunks of spells at different levels in the game. Unless you're a wizard where you can just learn spells from scrolls. So there we go, guys. That's Baldur's Gate 3. Hopefully I've shown what it's like starting out as a kind of new character in this game, and covered some of the basic systems to get you guys started. Now I love Baldur's Gate 3 myself. My first playthrough I think was well over 100 hours, and I've done a couple of multiplayer sessions as well. And multiplayer is really a lot of fun with your mates. So yeah, if you like these type of games and you haven't somehow got Baldur's Gate 3 yet, then definitely get it. It's well worth picking up. Hours and hours and hours of fun. And the modding as well is getting much better. They've just released a load of mod updates with this latest update. So yeah, check it out for sure, guys. And if you want to see more videos like this, I guess just like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye.